Late afternoon in Black Ridge had always had something hypnotic about it, as if the light took longer to leave there than anywhere else. The sky clung to the dark tops of the pine trees before disappearing, painting everything in a strange golden tone, beautiful and unsettling at the same time. For Evan, Josh, Liam, and Tyler, it was the perfect setting for the camping trip they'd been planning for weeks. Between tests at school, their parents scolding them, and messages sent in secret, they were 15 years old, with scratched up bikes, old scars on their knees, and the naive certainty that nothing truly bad could ever happen in a place like that. Before we go deeper into this story, you need to know, this is only the first part of what happened in Black Ridge. There is still another part to this story. The trail climbed in curves along the slope, surrounded by tall pine trees that formed a natural corridor. The smell of damp earth and old leaves filled the air. The cold stiffened their fingers on the handlebars, but no one complained. Every pedal stroke came with a joke, a tease, a challenge invented on the spot. Out there, far from the city, it felt like the rest of the world had been left behind. When they reached the plateau they'd chosen for the campsite, they stopped for a few seconds just to look around. The ground was almost flat, with the perfect space for their tents, a few rocks that could work as benches, and between the trees, a slice of the valley far below. The sun was leaning toward the horizon, casting orange light and long shadows. They celebrated as if they'd just discovered a secret place. They threw their backpacks on the ground and started setting up camp in a hurry, not caring whether the tents were crooked or not. A bit farther away, the sound of running water broke the silence. A spring trickled between moss-covered rocks, forming a thin line of clear water. When Evan stuck his hand in it, he pulled back immediately. It felt like ice. The spring was everyone's backup plan. They'd saved water on the way up, trusting they could fill their canteens later, calmly. "We'll deal with it later," they had said more than once. With the tents up and still a bit of daylight left, they decided to take a light ride along the trail, just to get to know the terrain. They left their backpacks and jackets behind and went out with only their almost empty canteens. Tyler shot ahead, turning the trail into a race. Liam came right behind him, focused on the roots, the holes, the way the path narrowed in some places. Evan rode in silence, looking at everything as if he wanted to record the route in his memory. Josh came last, laughing loudly, throwing out random comments just to hear them echo between the trees. The accident happened too fast. In a tighter curve, a thick root crossed the trail. Tyler didn't see it. The front wheel hit hard. The bike jumped and flipped sideways. His body was thrown to the ground with a dry thud, followed by the metallic scrape of the bike. His cry of pain was short, but enough to send a chill through the others. When Evan and Josh reached him, Liam was already on his knees at Tyler's side. Tyler's ankle was swelling quickly, turning red and then a purplish color. He tried to joke, to say he was fine, but every movement made his expression collapse. That's when they realized they were low on water and that the first aid kit had been left back at the campsite in Josh's backpack. The reality hit them in silence. They made their decision without arguing. Josh and Evan would ride back to camp to grab the kit and fill the canteens. Liam would stay with Tyler and make sure he didn't try to stand up. The way back along the trail felt darker. There was still some light, but it was filtered, distant. The forest had lost its friendly feel. Small cracking sounds came from inside the brush, irregular, like footsteps that stopped whenever they stopped. Evan looked over his shoulder more than he wanted to. Josh pretended not to notice anything, repeating in his head what he needed to grab. When they got back to the campsite, the sky was already turning dark blue. The tents looked way too fragile in front of that wall of trees. Josh dropped his bike and dove into his backpack, looking for the flashlight and the kit, feeling the weight of responsibility tighten his chest. Evan said he was going to the spring to fill the canteens. He said it simply,
like it was the easiest part of all this. Josh answered with a distracted, "Yeah, okay," without looking up. He heard Evan's footsteps moving away, the soft sound of leaves under his sneakers, and then nothing. He found the flashlight at the bottom of the backpack next to the kit and felt brief relief. He turned it on, and the beam of light cut through the dimness. He stepped out of the tent expecting to see Evan coming back, or at least hear his voice joking about how cold the water was. But the campsite was empty. Evan's bike was still in the same place, the canteens too. Josh called his friend's name, once, then again, louder. No answer. The sound was swallowed by the trees. For a moment, he thought about going straight to the spring, but chose to believe the simplest explanation. Maybe Evan had gone straight back to Liam and Tyler so they wouldn't have to wait even longer. With the kit in one hand and the flashlight in the other, he got on his bike and headed back down the trail, trying to ignore the uneasiness growing inside him. When he reached his friends, he found exactly the same scene as before. Tyler on the ground, leaning against a tree trunk, his face tight with pain. Liam beside him, restless. As soon as he saw the flashlight's beam, Liam stood up. "Where's Evan?" he asked, straight to the point. Josh said he was at the spring, filling the canteens, and frowned when he saw their expressions change. Neither of them had seen Evan come back. Neither of them had heard footsteps, a voice, anything. It was as if in the short time Josh had spent digging through his backpack, their friend had simply disappeared. Concern turned into urgency. The three of them decided to go to the spring together. Liam helped Tyler to his feet, supporting him by the shoulder. They walked slowly, with Josh in front, lighting the way. As they drew closer, the sound of the water grew clearer, filling everything with a constant murmur. They expected to find Evan there, with his back turned, leaning over the rocks. But there was no one. The spring was exactly the same, water running between moss-covered stones as if nothing had happened. Josh lowered the flashlight and began examining the ground. There were no different footprints, no fresh tire tracks, no dropped canteens, nothing out of place. It was as if Evan had never passed through there at all. Liam tried to say that maybe he was playing around, hiding somewhere along the trail, waiting to scare them later. But the sentence died halfway through. His own voice didn't believe that. The wind picked up, rushing through the treetops with an uneven whistle. Dry leaves began dragging along the ground, forming small spirals. The forest felt like it was watching them. Every tree trunk was a thicker shadow. Every branch cast strange shapes. The sound of leaves and water mixed together like a distant whisper, as if someone were speaking softly in a language they couldn't understand. Josh felt a chill run up his back, a cold that had nothing to do with the temperature. Liam squeezed Tyler's shoulder harder, as if trying to hold him there, to keep anything from taking him too. For a few seconds, no one said a word. Only the running water, the wind, and the rustling leaves filled the space between them. There, in front of the silent spring, with the empty place where Evan should have been, and not a single exclamation in sight, something broke inside all of them. The excitement of the camping trip disappeared, the sense of adventure was swallowed by a heavy silence, and on that night that was just beginning to fall over Black Ridge, what finally took root in each of their chests wasn't curiosity or doubt, it was fear. A new, deep fear that felt like it had risen from the forest itself and decided to stay. What happened after that night in Black Ridge continues in Part 2.